And I would have done this for free. I just wanted to know. I wanted to know why somebody would walk into a classroom and kill 32 people. And I've sat alone in rooms with people who killed almost that many. And I've asked them those questions. So why did you kill? Why did you kill and cannibalize, these 10 girls? Let's talk about that. And let's go back and talk about it. Of course, those people most of those are psychopaths. This gentleman who recently massacred these people at Virginia Tech was certainly no psychopath. He was very, was emotionally unstable. He was into a lot of fantasy. He was a very, very angry man. A man who clearly had learned from Columbine. And what he learned was that you go in, you can make a big name for yourself if you chain the doors, if you buy the right guns, if you plan it and you do a video, you send it to the media, you too can have revenge. In the old days, people just killed themselves, and today they want to kill everybody else. Because truly, this man, when he did this 19-year-old man, he knew he didn't fit into our society. He knew he was alienated. He didn't have the social skills. He was angry. And that happens to a lot of people. But he crossed the line in his fantasies, decided to act out those fantasies. And once you cross that line, just as those kids at Columbine did, then there was the point of no return. And of course, unfortunately, he took so many good people with him into that dorm. So I wanted to discuss this because it is such a disturbing, it's always a disturbing thing for me to know that so many people have died. Because this is not something that just happens back east. I mean, this happens in California. We have a mass murder about every 2 weeks now in the United States. But you don't get mass murders like the scale that we saw at Virginia. Probably 60% of mass murders tend to be within the family. And we don't hear about them as much because, you get 5 or 6 people get killed and it makes the back page of the newspaper, and we don't know much about them. But the truth is that we have them on a regular basis, and it's not something that's going to go away. We've had them for many, many years, and we'll continue to see them. And unfortunately, there will be copycats because that's just the nature of this. Too many people are watching television, and there's just too many people on the edge out there in society who want to emulate what was done at Virginia Tech. And that's the real tragedy of that. Do we censor the media or do we not? And it's a double-edged sword because we want to get the information out there, but on the other hand, we don't want to glorify the offenders. So before I go on with my little spiel about Alliance and show you some graphic slides, do you have any questions that you'd like me to discuss about Virginia Tech? Yes.
You mentioned just a couple of minutes ago that in the past it was more internal, that people would take it out on themselves.
Yes.
And now we're seeing shifts towards the external, it's your fault. What are the societal factors that have made that shift happen? Or that have helped to influence that shift?
That's a good question. A lot of people blame society for not becoming successful. Take Kaczynski, the Unabomber did that. He bombed people because he couldn't fit in. And that couldn't fit into Berkeley. So we knew he was way out there. And he was so angry about that he saw people becoming very successful in their lives, and it was basically based on envy. He envied them, and he didn't want, if he couldn't have it, he didn't want them to have it. It used to be that people didn't have the resources, didn't have access to the weapons and so forth. But now we live in a society where we do video games constantly, where there are very violent video games. That's part of it. They're exposed to that constantly. They've seen so much violence on television and in the news, in movie theaters. We talk violence, we think violence, we do violence, we like violence. Unfortunately, we're fascinated by it. And it seemed like a good alternative to just killing ourselves. And it also, for somebody who wants their moment of fame, what a great way to go. I mean, it works for some people. I mean, it seems very strange. Most of us wouldn't cross our minds if we want to harm anybody so we can get on the newspapers. But it works for some. And we will do it. And we'll put them all over Newsweek. Yes, yes, sir. Yes. I'm sorry, yes, at the back. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Brenda Dodd.
Brenda?
Yeah. And I want to know about college security. Do you think colleges now should put in metal detectors like when you go to
over in Israel, I was in a hotel, and I remember looking over the side of the room, in the banquet room, and I noticed a man standing there with a submachine gun. And he was just dressed in casual clothes. He looked very comfortable, so sitting there. Well, he was a volunteer. Basically, they all take their turns as citizens to guard different buildings and so on. They're not military. They're simply just concerned citizens. So they all sign up and they all do their tour of duty, because they face the reality. If they don't do that, they're going to have more problems and more people will die. So they have security like that. Are we in a society that's prepared to do that? I don't know that we are. Building metal detectors and trying to latch it down universities is pretty tough to do. I think it's impossible to do. I do think, personally, I think that we generally as a society do fairly well to monitor people who are dangerous, who could become dangerous. There's no